The holographic display flickered to life in the center of the War Council chamber, casting pale blue light across the assembled faces of the Galactic Coalition's finest military minds. Commander Velther of the Krunix Collective leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing as the footage began to play. "This," he announced, his translator rendering his clicks into standard galactic, "is battlefield recording from Outpost Zeta, recorded 3 cycles ago, during the Precursor incursion." The assembled delegates fell silent. Precursors. The word alone carried weight. Impossibly advanced beings who had seeded the galaxy with technology eons ago, only to vanish. Their return 6 months prior had been catastrophic. Entire star systems had gone dark. Fleets had been annihilated. The Coalition's best warriors lasted mere minutes against a single Precursor soldier. Kaidan sat in the back corner of the chamber, his human frame seeming almost fragile among the towering Kruinic, the armored Valkyrie and the crystalline SH. His partner, Gabrielle, stood beside him, her hand resting casually on the back of his chair. To the untrained eye, they appeared relaxed, but Gabrielle could feel the tension radiating from Kaidan's shoulders. The footage showed a desolate battlefield, smoking craters, the twisted remains of Coalition mechs. Then movement. A Precursor Warrior strode into frame, 12 feet of biomechanical horror, its armor seeming to shift and flow like liquid metal. Energy weapons sprouted from its limbs. Behind it, a squadron of Coalition soldiers opened fire. The Precursor didn't even slow down. It moved with terrible efficiency, each motion economical, precise. Soldiers fell, weapons fire deflected harmlessly off its shields. The audio captured screams, desperate commands, the sound of hope dying. Gabrielle felt Kaidan's hand reach up, touching her wrist. His fingers were cold, and then Velther continued. Something unprecedented occurred. The footage showed the Precursor advancing toward the Coalition's final defensive position. 50 soldiers. Their last stand. The creature raised an arm, energy coalescing into a weapon that could vaporize the entire position. Then something moved in the wreckage behind it. It was fast, impossibly fast. A figure in damaged armor, smaller than the Precursor, but moving with a fluidity that seemed almost inhuman. The figure closed the distance in heartbeats, and suddenly there was a blade, not energy, but solid matter. Some kind of combat knife buried in the joint of the Precursor's armor. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The Precursor spun, faster than anything that size should move, but the figure was already gone, rolling beneath a swipe that would have bisected a tank. The blade flashed again, finding another joint, then another. "Impossible," someone whispered. "Nothing can penetrate Precursor armor." "Keep watching," Velther said. The figure moved like water, like shadow, anticipating every strike. The Precursor's movements became frantic, desperate. It was afraid. Then the figure leapt an impossible vertical jump that carried them onto the Precursor's back. There was a moment, frozen in time, where the figure's helmet turned toward the recording drone. Dead eyes stared out from behind. A cracked visor. The figure drove the blade into the base of the Precursor's skull. There was a sound, a terrible, resonating scream that made everyone in the chamber flinch, even through the recording. The Precursor collapsed. The figure rode it down, pulled the blade free, and then simply stood there, surrounded by the dead and dying. "Mute it," Kaidan whispered suddenly, his voice tight. "Please." Gabrielle's hand tightened on his shoulder. She looked at "Commander, mute the audio." Velther's eyes swiveled toward them, confused. "But the tactical analysis." "Mute it." Gabrielle's voice carried an edge that made even the battle-hardened Kruinics hesitate. Now, the audio cut off. On screen, the figure was moving among the wounded Coalition soldiers, administering aid with the same mechanical efficiency it had used to kill. Its movements were becoming slower now, the adrenaline clearly fading. One soldier reached up, touched the figure's helmet. It came away, revealing a human. Someone breathed. The chamber exploded into chaos. Questions fired from every direction. How? What training? What augmentation? Humans were one of the youngest species in the Coalition, barely 50 years into contact. They weren't warriors. They were diplomats, traders, engineers. They weren't supposed to be capable of this. Gabrielle felt Kaidan stand beside her. His face was pale, but composed. "That's you," Velther said. "Not a question." "That's you on the recording." Kaidan nodded once. The Kruinic's commander's voice was almost reverent. "We've lost thousands against the Precursors. Our best warriors. Our most advanced weapons. And you." "I don't like hearing myself," Kaidan said quietly, cutting him off. His eyes were distant, fixed on something only he could see. "The sounds I made during that fight, the things I said, that's not who I want to be." Gabrielle understood then. She'd seen Caden's service record, the parts that weren't classified into oblivion, special operations, black sites, the kind of missions that left scars deeper than flesh. Humanity's militaries had spent millennia perfecting the art of creating warriors, of taking ordinary people and forging them into something else, something that could do what needed to be done, and then live with it afterward. The Coalition needs to understand, Gabrielle said, addressing the chamber. Humans don't have the natural advantages of your species. We're not as strong, not as fast, not as durable, but we've spent our entire history fighting each other. We got very, very good at it. She paused. Some of us specialized. Caden's jaw tightened. I was a soldier before first contact. After they asked for volunteers, people who could teach Coalition forces, who could adapt human combat doctrine for the Precursor threat. His voice was flat, emotionless. I said yes. But the footage, someone objected. The way you moved muscle memory, Caden said. Training, and understanding something the Precursors don't. He finally looked up, meeting Velthar's gaze. They're ancient, powerful, but they've forgotten what it means to fight someone who's desperate. Someone who has nothing left to lose, but refuses to stop anyway. The chamber fell silent. Humanity calls it stubbornness, Gabrielle added softly. The rest of the galaxy might call it insanity. Caden turned away from the screen, from the image of himself standing among the carnage. I can teach your soldiers what I know, but Commander, he looked back at Velthar. Keep the audio muted. I don't need to remember the monster I became to save them. Gabrielle squeezed his shoulder as they walked out together, leaving the shocked council behind. Outside, in the corridor, Caden finally allowed himself to tremble. You're not a monster, she whispered. No, he agreed, his voice hollow. I'm just human. Sometimes, that's worse. Behind them, the council began to argue, to plan, to hope. Because if one human could do this, perhaps humanity could teach them all to survive. But Gabrielle held Caden close and wondered at the price of that hope.